Welcome to Hot Girls Have Hot Takes, and I'm your host, Anastasia. Today I'm going to talk about something which is nothing original, right? Like, this is a sentiment very common in society nowadays, especially around the topic of affordability and quite genuinely the lack thereof it, especially for those who are, I don't want to say undereducated, that sounds rude, but this myth of, unskilled labor, or if you work in fast food, or if you work in a non-degree, non-corporate sector, you basically deserve to live in poverty. And also, if you're a single individual, you are just supposed to live with roommates for the rest of your life, or just get into a relationship so you can stabilize your housing and split the cost with another person so that way you can actually afford to live. So let's get going on that. Thanks, Frodo. That's his thoughts on it, by the way. So it's very clear that the cost of living has pretty much increased, insurmountably, every I swear to God, every decade it gets worse and worse and worse. Because I remember when my sister had her first apartment, I think that it was maybe $800 a month, and she split a one-bed apartment with somebody else, so her share was $400. My apartment, it's $1,300 a month after all of the fees and everything like that, which is fine. I mean, I am very grateful that I am able to afford to live in an apartment, and I have shelter, and I have a place to call home, and I'm able to provide for my dog, and I have a stable job and income. But I really am, if something goes wrong, I am one missed paycheck away from being screwed, right? And my only saving grace that I have right now is that I don't have a car note. I don't have a car note, and I don't have any debt. So those two factors alone put me in a bit more of a safe, cushiony comfort spot that a lot of people don't have, right? There are people that are drowning in debt, consistently in the red, and some people, have to add medications on top of that. Some people have kids. Some people have these recurring expenses that have to get covered, and their debts just pile on and on and on and on and on and on and on top of each other, all while credit cards are making money off of overdraft fees, while not credit cards, banks are making money off of overdraft fees. Credit card companies are making bank off of these interest payments. People are convinced to buy homes that they cannot afford, trying to pay down this amount that doesn't even, half of it doesn't even go to the principal. You're paying all of the interest on a house. Your mortgage is never really going down. And then every year with taxes, your mortgage and escrow is going to increase, not to take into consideration the cost of insurance, the cost of maintenance, emergencies, repairs. I grew up in a house, and when I tell you owning a home is literally how many ways can water intrude into your home in very different and unique ways. There was one time when the water was defying gravity, coming up from the ground through a singular crack in the, what's it called, slab? The concrete slab. And it was a constant pain to get that fixed. My parents, I think they bought that house for $95,000. We sold that girly pop for $450,000 or something insane like that. Which, sorry to the new owners if you saw that. Point being, the cost of living is so astronomically ridiculous, and now also we are in the middle of this godforsaken, unnecessary war. Gas prices are now skyrocketed 50% in literally a month and a half, which is batshit. I don't think I've ever seen in my lifetime $4 for gas. Never in this state. I mean, it's gotten close. It's been $3 and it's been up there, but I've been seeing way too much $4 on these gas prices. $4.09 in Texas, that's insane. Thank God that I have the opportunity to not have to go literally bankrupt on gas. But there was one span of time when I literally had back-to-back car repairs, and thank God I had access to the money, because most Americans do not even have the ability to put money aside for savings. They can't even save for an emergency. And everybody knows that anything that gets messed up with your car minimum $600, minimum. And it's ridiculous, right? I mean, the cost of food is going up, and it's just becoming insane because, you know, all of the corporations that are running all of this, thank you, late stage capitalism, are profiting left and right. Oil companies profited like $7 billion or something ridiculous like that during the current war that we're in, because there's no way. There is literally, they're acting like there's never going to be gas again. And like them price gouging, whatever. It is what it is. Do not supply and demand me right now. Okay, I understand the basics of that. I don't need to be explained that. I understand why it's just could have done without seeing their profit margins for this. But anyway, I mean, impressive given the fact that crude oil has also gone up exponentially. So interesting that they're making any type of profit at all, but I digress. Back to the whole affordability thing, the entire concept of why I'm doing this little renty rant of a video. Frodo, my beloved, I'm going to do this as fast as I can, okay? Just chill. As I was saying, so to be a single person in this society, I mean, like, it's already unaffordable for a lot of people. I mean, like, we have articles coming out that there's some people who make six figures that are living paycheck to paycheck, which, whilst I understand there are some, you know, your tax rate's a little bit higher, there's these other factors, but how that's managing to your living paycheck to paycheck is so fascinating, because for some people it genuinely is. All of our money has to be allocated to all of these things, the house, the cars, the kids, the this, the that, all of these payments. But that is insane, right? Like, we should be able to live comfortably in a society where I, who work full-time, can live on the salary that I am paid and have money left over, right? Like, I should, pardon me. Can you chill out? Chill out. Go lay down. Go lay down. Thank you. Anywho, everybody should be able to work full-time and have money left over. Like, true chunks of money. I'm talking like throw away money. None of this I barely am scraping by and, you know, I have $20 left over if I'm lucky at the end of every paycheck. Like, that concept is crazy. And there's this economic weirdness of like, oh, well, just stop spending frivolously. We're not. People aren't spending frivolously. There's some people that have mentalities of like, I'm never going to pay off this debt, so like, who cares? I'm not here to, what's it called, yuck your yum, or whatever the phrase is. I would say, I promise you, debt-free is much more fun than being stressed out about paying off your debt. But I also understand it's expensive to not have money, because late fees are expensive. Interest is expensive. Paying minimum payments is expensive. Credit cards giving you more credit line because they know that they can be predatory towards you, more expensive. You getting sued by those same credit card companies because you're not paying off your credit cards, much more expensive. And it's this never-ending cycle. And then I'm going to go down my little conspiracy rabbit hole, which I don't even think really is that much of a conspiracy, right? It is very much like sociological, because there's a lot of intentionality. Obviously, if we keep people poor, then they cannot work to better themselves, and now they can't rise to power because they have no money. And in a capitalistic society, money equals power and influence. And obviously, the people in charge, usually white, powerful men, don't like to be challenged, okay? They don't like challenges. They don't like being shoved out of the cushiony life that they made off the backs of normally minority communities. Let's be real here. Let's be honest. The amount of companies that rely on immigrant labor, people that they know that they can take advantage of because they know damn well that these people can't protect themselves in the court of law. They know that they can't fight back for better wages. So they are keeping these people at the lowest of the low because they know that they have influence over them, and they're not going to fight back on that. They're going to try, like, they're going to get threatened of like deportation, right? Like, that's their reality. And also this renting and home, having shelter just period. Okay, I feel like some of us take that for granted, and we really shouldn't, because we genuinely are all one paycheck away from having to, like, on the streets with some of the people that we don't want to look in the eye and deem lesser than because they were caught in a situation that they couldn't get through. Not because they didn't try, but because they were probably getting pinched and pulled and things happen, and they get evicted, they get foreclosed on, they lose a job. These things are something that we are more closer to than ever becoming the next millionaire. Okay, So show some compassion for your neighbors. Let's start there. Treat them like people because they still are, and work on your own internal biases about seeing that. Okay, the people that don't like public transportation because Lord forbid you might have to like lock eyes with somebody who can't have like a safe place to live and sleep at night is crazy. And also, mental health is a big factor too, because I'm pretty sure if you went through all of that stress and then you couldn't afford to get medicated and you couldn't find a safe place for yourself, you would probably be bouncing bonkers off the wall too. I feel like this whole affordability crisis, it's all orchestrated, right? You know, it's a power dynamic thing. If we don't have money, then we don't have influence, and we're not able to change things. And I think that the powerful people keep forgetting that, like, there's always going to be more of the average person than there will ever be of your little cohort of fellow billionaires, multimillionaires, whatever, who cares? And we have trillionaires now, which is disgusting. And all of those people, they only have that lifestyle because they literally have taken advantage of others by ensuring that they are not able to have sustainable wages. There's many people who work for these corporations that have no choice but to apply for government aid programs because they literally do not make enough money to survive. But basically, money is like genuinely sometimes like the root of all evil, but it's also the root of all influence. You have the money, you have the power, you have the influence, you can get stuff done. Also, going back to the whole like car thing, we live in a very car dependent nation, right? I mean, we have interstates, we have highways galore. We are all just like begging for crumbs of any form of public transportation in the form of a high-speed rail system just to get anywhere to not sit in traffic. But obviously, high-speed rail systems usually mean less money for the oil companies, which means less money for the car companies, which means less money for all of those people, and they want to keep making profits naturally, right? So best way to do that, airlines, forgot the airlines, obviously, because if you can't get somewhere quickly, what's the quickest way to get somewhere if you're not driving? Hello, hippity hop on an airplane. But guess what? When you're in a gas crisis, none of those options are looking real good now anymore, huh? Because I don't want to go on a road trip when gas is $4 a gallon. And I have flights booked. And from what I can sort of tell, prices haven't changed that much. But, there was some airline. I want to say it was I think it was United. Because they're like the more bougie one. They basically, it was either United or Delta. It was one of like it was whoever is above American Airlines in whatever they do. But they were basically talking about how even after like the gas situation sort of evens out, prices are probably not going to go down for consumers. They're probably going to keep increasing because they are greedy. I genuinely saw that story, and I made a story about it, and I'm like, this is literally the greed that they talk about in the Bible, right? Not to bring like religion into it, but since, we are such a Christian nation, to bring religion into it a little bit, greed, praising false idols. Anyway, I'm going to let more experienced political commentators take that take. I'm just here to talk about why nobody should have to live with a roommate for the rest of their life or be stuck in a really bad, unsafe relationship in order to have a roof over their head. As I like to say, everything is all connected, right? So you get the greed of the corporations, right? Well, then we have to kind of get into like the talk of private equity, because private equity is now buying up a lot of things. And then you have property management companies, which are the main reason why rent is so high now, because they have basically taken the responsibility away from private landlords who were able to sort of keep the prices a lot lower. And then once these property management companies come in, they rack up the rate, probably under the terms of like trying to fix the place up. But let's be real, how many times have we gone to an apartment, be told, oh, this is luxury, this is a lapshan, and like it's what, $1,100 for like a studio or something. You don't get a washer and dryer, and you probably have a roach infestation, right? That's not fair. Many apartments won't have an in-unit washer and dryer. For some reason, that is now considered a luxury, which is wild. So a lot of these other complexes, to keep the cost down, they have a laundry facility that they then charge residents to use, which is crazy. And I'm very grateful for the, apartment that I have, because like it's not even an extra cost. It's just a part of what I get. And my current apartment also pays for my freaking cable and streaming. So I'm not going to complain about it. I think I'm getting a great deal for the size of my apartment. And I'm very grateful to live here. But the fact that not everybody gets access to like a safe and healthy place to like live and reside. There's a lot of people who have to live out of their cars. If you don't have a permanent address, it makes finding a job immensely harder. And, homeless shelters are great in theory, but for some places they have a lot of rules and regulations and they have restrictions. And it's just, it's insane. You can't really budget yourself out of a affordability nightmare. I know that other generations have done it and it's fine, but also when you could previously go to university, have a part-time job, somehow still magically have a house. Like, obviously you have to take the dollar to the time period, but the buying power of a dollar nowadays is much weaker. So you're really getting less out of it, and inflation, and I don't really want to do a lesson on inflation. The buying power of money goes down while the price of everything goes up. So you get less. And somehow we now have to manage a society where we are all, hold on. Frodo, come here. Thank you. I mean, we are now living in a society where we are somehow supposed to budget within an inch of our life, and being told you can't enjoy life until you have no debt. But for some people, they are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and they can't bankrupt it because student loans or all of these other things, and they're getting foreclosed on, and it feels like it's never ending. And then we kind of fall into this overconsumerism trap, right? Of late stage capitalism, where you need all things right now, instant gratification. I need this dopamine hit because society is stressing me out so bad that I just need to feel a little bit happy. So let me just buy a material item that serves no purpose to me in my life other than it was fun and I bought it, and now it's probably going to be given away or resold in 2 or 3 months. That's the hard aspect of feeling like you're drowning and wanting to give yourself some semblance of joy or some positive thing going the right way. So you want to buy a little something, a little sweet treat, whatever. I'm starting to learn that no coffee is $8 good. None. I have yet to drink coffee that was $8. That was the best coffee drink I've ever experienced in my life. $8? I literally have just been drinking normal coffee or been getting cold brews from the store and making it at home. I mean, here we are doing all of the things you're told to do. Don't buy every little thing. Eat less avocado toast, which was a crazy thing to tell people because it's not about the avocado toast. It's very stressful and crazy that life seems to be becoming more unaffordable in a way, all because elite people want to make more money at the expense of others. These corporations don't care about you. I feel like a lot of these corporations are low-key in a lot of debt too. I feel like a lot of them are in the red. They're obviously going to try and convince you that you need to buy their product so that they can get out of the red. It's all connected, right? It's this all connected mess of this. You can't afford to do anything cool or fun because literally everybody is trying to bleed money out of you in one way or another. Look, everything's a subscription now, which is another tangent I will go on a different day. What is happening? A different tangent for a different day. I really need to have my camera to not... Are you done? Okay. Overall, affordability is a lot of little things all coming together that kind of pressures and pressure, and it increases and increases, and you kind of feel like you're spiraling and you can't get control, and so then you want to get a dopamine hit somehow, so you're going to buy the little thing that you don't really need or doesn't have a use for you, but it makes you feel good. You can probably be as disciplined as you can and, still for whatever reason spend almost 50% of your income on a roof over your head, because I think everybody deserves to have their own space to do whatever they want. Have your own space, Be your own person. You shouldn't have to rely on someone else to make your life affordable. Like, it doesn't make sense. Obviously, like, from a patriarchal standpoint, it does make sense because back in the day, men were the breadwinners, and economic manipulation was a really big thing. Financial abuse is what I meant to say. It still happens nowadays, of course. That's sort of why this trad wife culture that's on the uprise is very concerning, because I think we don't realize just how devastating that was for the women who lived through it. I mean, these are your literal grandmothers who experienced having no financial freedom, couldn't make their own decisions, couldn't do anything. So, hey, you have the ability to make your own money, right? And for a lot of us, we like to spend the money that we make, as is, our caveat. Obviously, you shouldn't have to restrict things that you want to do that are fun. My rule is always, I have to pay all of the important bills before I buy anything fun. And if I haven't covered my bills, I don't get to do fun things, right? I don't get to book a concert. Frodo, come here. Frodo, come here. Thank you. I don't get to buy concert tickets. I don't get to book a flight that month. I have to wait, and I just have to wait until the books rebalance, and then I can do it. And leave it. Sorry, my dog is getting restless, so I'm going to try to wrap this up with a pretty bow. But while discipline is like a factor in the equation, it's really hard to be disciplined when affordability seems harder to grasp, because then you have lifestyle inflation where the more money you make, the more money you want to spend because now you're rolling, right? And it's sort of this like never-ending cycle. And so then some people are like, oh, well, then you have to go to therapy. Guess what? Therapy costs money. Or you need to have really good insurance, which you can usually only get from a full-time employment. And so there's a lot of different facets of everything happening all at once. And I just think that we should all just be able to live in a nice place and live our lives and experience our lives, right? Like, we should be able to go out and do fun things and not also be drowning in debt at the same time, right? Like, we should be able to just perfect utopia, right? Like, you make your money, you live your life with that money. Rinse, repeat, have a good day, right? Personal responsibility is a facet of that, but as people have said in the past, you can't budget yourself out of poverty, especially when poverty is basically designed to never stop, because they being the people that have money and influence want to be the only people that have money and influence. And they don't like to pay their taxes. And I'm talking about the ultra wealthy peoples, okay? If you're somebody that's making some money and you're paying your taxes, I'm not talking to you. Like, you're innocent in this. I'm talking about, like, the Jeff Bezoses of the world, okay? That's who I'm talking about. Like, people who should be contributing to the pot a little bit more so that my tax rate goes down, because I literally cannot afford to keep covering for y'all in your undesire to do your fair share and run from the taxation laws in this country, thus also contributing to a higher rate of cost of living for people who don't make the money you do. And then add kids to the equation, pets. Some people can't afford themselves. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole of all of the stuff that there's lots of YouTube videos about it. I have seen endless videos of people talking about this. That's why I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but I'm simply just saying we should not have to be working this hard to have a roof over our heads. Somebody should not have to work full-time and then have 3 side gigs to pay the bills. That's insane. Like, full-time money should mean you're cool, you're chill, you're comfortable, you're vibing, and you're thriving, okay? And your kids, and your pets, and whatever dependents you have. even if the only dependent is yourself. You all deserve to enjoy this life and live it to the fullest. Okay? So, somebody needs to start doing, I don't know. I don't even know how we, I feel like the affordability thing has always been a thing. And we do live in a late stage capitalistic society, so it's not going to be an easy resolve. I just hope that it can be different for other generations, because some generations got the better, what's it called? I guess some generations are getting the short end of the stick while others get to thrive. But hey, that's what happens when you just live in a late stage capitalistic society. Am I right? Or am I right? Okay, I think I'm adequately... We're done. Okay, I'm having too much chaos happening in this house, so I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for chilling with me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!